Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You don't climb into a T-180 to be a driver. You do it because you're driven.
In last week's video, we covered a cinema of sound with Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But in this week's video, let's cover something a little bit different and a little bit more modern as we dive deeper into 2008's Speed Racer. When Speed Racer hit theaters on April 26, 2008, it was met with mixed reviews that skewed towards the negative side. While some critics praised the visuals and action sequences, others found the film to be overwhelming based on its reliance on CGI and loathed the excessive runtime. Moreover, Speed Racer was largely considered a box office bomb, with the film making only $93.9 million on a total budget of $120 million. Ouch! And at the end of its run, it has been speculated that Warner Brothers and Village Roadhouse lost around $100 million on the picture itself. But in the time since its release, Speed Racer has gained a cult classic status amongst its fans, yours truly included. But yet in the summer of 2008, amongst a pantheon of legendary summer Hollywood blockbusters, Speed Racer failed to fully cross the finish line. I mean, it had to compete with the likes of Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, WALL-E, The Dark Knight, Kung Fu Panda, Tropic Thunder, and Mamma Mia. I mean, yikes. That's a lot. Even though Speed Racer couldn't quite measure up to the tidal wave of releases that the summer of 2008 brought, it endured. But why? To find that answer, it might be best to first look at the influence that the directors had upon the film itself. Those directors, of course, being the Wachowskis, who were responsible for bringing the world of The Matrix to movie theater screens. And that cinematic language established in the Matrix trilogy transfers over to Speed Racer, as the Wachowskis don't just make a movie about race car driving on an outrageous global scale, or the importance of family. They blend the nuance of storytelling with dynamic and momentum-filled visuals to create an experience that can only be described as a cinema of motion. As always, welcome back to Screenplay or Bust, your one-stop shop for all things movies, and come along today as we discover how Speed Racer's distinctive style was created, why it serves as one of the film's most important tools, and where these visuals are best applied in the film. Much like The Matrix, the Wachowskis bring their distinctive cinematic style to Speed Racer. In doing so, they modernized Speed Racer from the original cartoon series and brought the character into the 21st century. But how exactly did they do this? Although the Wachowskis use a wide range of cinematic tools to create the Speed Racer experience, what it largely boils down to is the way that they move their camera and the way that they edit the film itself. However, what both of these components share is that they are both used by the film to throw reality out the window. What you're seeing throughout Speed Racer's runtime is not so much a film based in reality, but one based in spectacle and story, both of which are enhanced by the movie's camera movement and editing. Within the camera movement, whether that be on set or artificially generated through the CGI used in the film is always moving and the camera with it. The film pans left and right with the turns of the vehicles to further sell the motion on the screen. Sometimes the camera pans and zooms to put the audience members in the center of the action. Sometimes the camera rumbles to simulate the pure force of the automobiles in the movie and to further sell the illusion and immersiveness of the film and its race scenes through motion. In terms of editing, the film embraces a pan and dissolve cut to jump from scene to scene in most instances, which further sells the almost continuous motion held throughout the film. And at the end of the day, both the editing and the camera movement come together to embrace the source material that Speed Racer came from, as it emulates the cartoon/animated/anime style that the original source material came from with the original cartoon, which I would argue encapsulates a experience of motion as the filmmakers try to capture the magic of the cartoon and bring it to a live action sensibility. And that unfortunately is where a lot of the problems in Speed Racer lie, because you ultimately love the style of Speed Racer or you just straight up hate it. But regardless whether you love or hate the style of Speed Racer, it remains, and I would argue creates a transcendental style that immerses the audience into the motion of the film. So we know how Speed Racer creates and simulates its motion throughout the film, but why exactly does that matter to the film? The presence of motion in the film itself is important because it enhances the emotional weight of the scene, as the audience is meant to feel the sheer gravity of the racing. However, what is equally important in the film is the absence of motion in certain scenes. Although there are portions of the film that are largely based on spectacle, there are also those that are simple, meaningful, and emotional. And in those scenes, When the camera stops moving, it highlights the importance and the emotional gravity of those scenes, where simplicity strives within an ecosystem of spectacle. Throughout the video, we've gone over the importance of how and why Speed Racer's visuals were formulated, but where exactly are the examples of this visual style best represented in the movie itself? Starting first with the film's utilization of non-motion based scenes, it's important to highlight the interactions between Racer X and Speed Racer, as well as Mom Racer and Speed, each within these respective scenes.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You don't climb into a T180 to be a driver. You do it because you're driven.
I go to the races to watch you make art. And you just take my breath away.
Each of these scenes allows the audience to sit with their words that harken back to the main message of the film, which then of course leads directly to one of the best examples of motion in the film, the final race scene, which utilizes both the motion used throughout the film and combines that with the emotional weight of the non-motion scenes to create a hybrid conclusion that delivers the audience the best of both worlds, as it can be seen in the following clips.
You do it because you're driven.
When I watch you do some of the things you do, and you just take my breath away.
And it's that delicate balance of motion and emotion that makes Speed Racer a true cinema of motion. As always, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications. And comment down below. Do you agree about Speed Racer's status as a cinema of motion? Or maybe you have a different take. Or maybe you don't even like it at all. But I want to hear it, so make sure to comment down below. And don't forget, in an ever-changing landscape of entertainment, motion and sound are great, but when it comes down to it, a good story remains timeless. And if that's the case, it's screenplay or bust. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I'll see you next week.